Procurement Authority, the total worth of payment to the 7 institutions is $40,145,648. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister of Information provide clarity in specific details what the remaining $845,352 is being spent on, evidence of withholding tax from the payment of the contractors, a detailed report on all work so far done by the 5 media houses and the 2 content creators since the contract was signed in February?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member of Janjanbureh, for that question. For your information, 41 is approved, and what is actually paid is 2 different things. One, you can approve 20 million, but then come and pay 18 million. So what 40 million was approved at the GPPA level. When we went back to the ministry, we further negotiated with the contract, the media contractors, and we reduced the amount. So what is 50% of 40 million is obviously 20 million, but that wasn't paid. The approved amount, the paid amount, is 18 million plus. That is the paid amount, and there is evidence to suggest that, to prove that. In fact, the payment vouchers from the Minister of Finance are available if you want to view them. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, I am still confused for the fact that what the public is being informed and as well as what I was informed as a representative and what you are telling this August Assembly seems to be 2 different things. However, will you be ready to serve this August Assembly the contract documents, evidence of the withholding tax, and every other transaction that is correlated to this contract? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just before I answer your question, I still have to make a clarification again. If you look at the approved amount by GPPA, for example, for FATU Network, GPPA approved 5.9.76 million. But after further negotiation, we are going to pay them only 5 million. That is actual. That's the difference. But nonetheless, if this August body requests for these documents, it will be provided with pleasure.
Honorable Member for Serekunda West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like the Honorable Minister for Information to inform this August building or house the rationale behind your ministry going all the way out, giving millions of dollars to a few number of private media just to do exactly what the state broadcaster are supposed to do, like the GRTS and the Gambia Daily, while they are struggling with equipment issues like camera.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Please, on the point of order.
Honorable
yes, Honorable nominated member Keba Lang.
Honorable Speaker, the original question reads, could the Honorable Minister of Information provide clarity in specific details what the remaining $845,352 is being spent on, evidence of withholding tax from the payment to the contractors, a detailed report on all work so far done by 5 media houses and 2 content creators since the contract was signed in February. And I'm rising on Order 43.4, which says a supplementary question shall not be in order if it introduces matters not included in the original question and the answers provided. For the avoidance of doubt, whether a supplementary question is within remit shall be determined on answering by the Vice President, Minister, or Member. Honorable Speaker, the original question is with regards to the value of the withholding tax and other transactions. It does not include anything on the rationale behind the signing of the contract. And the question of the Honorable Member is premised on the objective
I think I will invite the honorable member for Latrikunda Sabeji to come and sit here. I don't need your assistance. You wait until I seek your assistance. I have people
Point
who
of
will
order.
help me.
Point of order.
I will definitely seek your assistance if there is need.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable nominated member, please hold on. Honorable, I think we should now be a little bit more comfortable with each other than going about, beating about, wasting time unnecessarily. You know that when you respond to somebody speaking, he will respond and others will respond. And if you are talking, somebody responds to you whilst you are talking, you will equally not like it. Why do it to others? I have said it many times. Yes, you respect people's opinion. You have a right to differ with their opinion. However bad the opinion may be, you respect it. If somebody asks a question probably that you and I don't like, we should respect it. We may wish that it is not that way, this way. If we want, let's come and ask this the way we want to ask. But let's respect each other for our opinions and stop intervening and interjecting people, please. I don't want us to be going over this or here and there. Honorable Keba, honorable nominated member, yes, complete.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And maturity and wisdom dictates that I should not respond to him. I won't. I will just continue. What I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, the questions asked by the honorable member adds new details which were not included in the original question or in the responses that were provided by the honorable minister. And as such, in accordance with Order 43.4, I propose that his question be declined. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something?
Who wants to say something?
Senator Yes.
Something before my ruling?
Yes.
Yes, can you say it?
Okay. I want to refer the Honorable House to this particular question, 238, line 4. We say, said the Minister of Information said a total of 41 million has been allocated as payment to 5 media houses. That's where my question is. I want to know the rationale about the payment.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Yes. Keba?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and that's exactly where the point of order is coming from. If you read it, 41 million has been allocated as payment to 5 media houses. It's only substantiating the value of payment and nothing about the objective or reasons behind it. And that's why I'm raising the point of order. Thank you.
Members, listening to the standing order and making analysis of what the honorable member for Serekunda West, the question he has posed, myself, and of course, making some few references, I think the honorable nominated member is in order. As per standing order 43.4. We now move to Fonyi Bintang.
Honorable Minister, how will this contract benefit the citizens of the Gambia?
Point of order. Point of order. Honorable Speaker. Bagan.
Yes, honorable member for Sabak Senyal.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on 43.4. A supplementary question shall not be in order if it introduces matters not included in the original question. The Honorable member is asking for how these monies will benefit how these payments will benefit the Gambian citizens. And the question raised by the honorable member for Janjanbureh does not request or question the interest that Gambian citizens would have on these payments.
Honorable member, you are in order, and I will rule out the supplementary question for Fonyi Bintang. Honorable member for Banjul Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, with regards to the contract negotiation, you know there's always a pre-contract negotiation phase before even the actual contract agreement. So, there's always a pre-contract negotiation phase before the actual contractual agreement. So you made mention here that later on you reignited the negotiation phase whereby a discount was made or a certain portion that was proposedly to be paid was cut off from 20 to 18, if I'm not mistaken. How did that happen? Was it after they signed the contract and then there was another contractual agreement phase, or how did you conclude that with regards to that?
Honorable Speaker, when the GPP sent the approval of the amount that were requested, that were sent to GPP, after that approval, further negotiations were made before the signing of the contract. And during those negotiations, both the ministry and the media contractors agreed to reduce the price. Hence, the original 40 million wasn't needed. Instead, it was about 36 or $37 million for the contract. Thank you.
Honorable member for Latrikunda Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for responding to our questions, but I don't know whether honorable members pay attention to this number discrepancy. First, GPP approval was given. I don't know whether, when the contract was renegotiated, there was another GPP approval sought, because GPP cannot approve a particular contract, and further negotiations were held where we led to degrees of numbers, and GPP did not give another approval for that particular contract. Where did that happen?
Honorable Speaker, GPP did not approve the contract, they approved the figures. These are different things. Approving a contract and approving figures are two different things. The original figures sent to GPP were approved. That is the 5.7, 5.7, 5.9. But after that approval of that particular, those figures, they had further negotiations and they brought these figures down to 5.2, 5.4, 5.1 for each of the contractors. Before the signing of the contract.
Contract is my area. This is
point of order.
No, I'm. I'm appealing because this is very good for you, for your office. Yes. No.
Honorable, you should now be a little bit seasoned enough. Honestly, we have been here for 2 or more years now. When somebody talks to you even, don't respond to the person. Because it means somebody has done wrong and you are also going to follow him and do wrong. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And what we expect is you ask the question, somebody may not like it, and if somebody wants to disturb you, don't listen to him. You continue what you want to say and do. Please, please. Yes, and you asked your question, and the Honorable Minister responded. And I don't know what is the basis for the argument then. Pardon? Honorable, what I do know is you asked a question. You asked a question, and I think the Honorable Minister responded. So what is the problem?
The problem is, I want Honorable Minister to understand, GPP approve contract with figures. DPO don't approve contract like that. It must be approved with figures. So if they approve the initial contract, before I went for the
Honorable,
yes.
You see, when we do that, we are going to engage in dialogue and debate. Honorable members have all rights, even not during this question time, at your various committees, at plenaries, to call the honorable ministers and do whatever you want to know with them. But we made our own standing orders and regulated ourselves. If we want changes, let's look at the standing orders and amend it to suit us better if we think it also suits us. Please. Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankunku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, we are talking about a $40 million, and in your response you say when it was approved. I wanted to understand the approval, whether the approval of the $40 million at the Assembly, because I am just cross-checking on the budget, both 2023 and 2024, but I cannot come across with a $40 million that was approved by this August Assembly for these 5 media houses.
Honorable Speaker, when I say approve, I mean GPP approval to accept, to approve what they call the restricted tender. It was that approval I'm talking about. When a request was sent to GPP for restricted tender, amounts were sent also as well. When those amounts were sent, those amounts were approved. Upon that approval, after that approval, amounts further negotiations went before the signing of the contract, and the money was reduced to a particular amount. Thank you.
It will, honorable members, I want to believe that it will have been a problem if the approved amount is, if the amount spent is more than the approved amount. But if the amount spent is less than whatever is approved, I don't think we should have much qualms about that one. In fact, we want ministries. We want ministries to do as much as possible to make savings.
Speaker.
Who?
Janjambure. Yeah, you just made a statement, and for the purpose of the records, for the Ministry of Information, it doesn't mean that they have cut what they have spent. Instead, there is an increment of $1 million to what was approved by Pura. What they said was $40 million. In his response to my written question, what he responded was $41 million as the allocation.
Thank you very much. The question that was being tabled and argued about was the fact that $20.5 million was approved and they paid 18, is it 18 or so million? That's what I am talking about.
Honorable Speaker.
Who is talking again?
Kia West.
Huh?
Kia West. Yes. But the same Honorable Minister
Honorable Member Kiang West, Honorable Kia West, yes, what are you rising on first?
I'm rising on the same issue that we're talking about.
Yeah, what? Are you observing me?
Yeah,
or you are putting a point of order or what?
Yes, I'm observing Honorable Member for Janjambure. What I'm trying to say here is, Honorable Member is the same Honorable Member who sent 2 questions that were all emanated from this Parliament to the same minister, and we expect the same accurate and consistency in his response. So the information that were issued were 2 different information. So that's his argument right now.
I think I am not arguing about what the minister or the honorable member asked about. What I did say was that in minister's response, he talked about a 20.5 million approved, and somebody asked and he talked about it and said that was what was approved, but what was actually spent was this amount. 1, that's what I was talking about. 2, I said again, if the honorable member or any honorable member feels otherwise, the honorable minister for information is around. honorable members, you are to perform oversight. You get to the details if you want to get to the details with him. Nobody is disturbing that. And when that question was posed to the honorable minister before, he said that was an approved one, different from the actuals. So if you want to go into the details of those things, you still have platforms to do that.
Let's move. We will bring a motion. Let's progress.
Honorable members, except when the honorable member for Latrikunda Sabeji dodged out of the assembly, I was being informed that he is back. I had forgotten that we called him and he was out. When he knew that he had posed a question for the time, I would have wished that he called our attention so that we will know. But you waited until your question is coming and you just go out. And at the end, you will want us to come back to your question again. We should desist from that. Members have a right to go out and come in at their discretion. But your going out will not prevent assembly from proceeding. So when next honorable member, you have a question or something to do, and we are going towards it, you call the attention of the table office so that we know, so that we will not call you. We will continue until when we finish that, we will call you to do your, to do your needful. We now go back to question number 236 of 2024 by the honorable member for Latrikunda Sabeji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. First, I want to, on notice, I want to seek your leave if I can change this question, because it's like this question has...
He wants to, you cannot prevent him from what he wants to say. Whether it's right or it's wrong, let him say what he wants to say and we would respond. If you shout on him, at the end of all this house, I will ask him to continue to say what he wants to say. No, let him say what I have already granted him permission to ask a question. Let's listen to him. If you are rising, rise to a point of order. No observations entertained now. No entertainment unless you want a point of order. If you want to make observe, then Latrikunda will have to give you a chance.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor.
Yes,
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Latrikunda. Honorable Member, it's only when Latrikunda grants you the chance to observe him, he sits down, that you can observe him. Okay, Latrikunda, can you continue?
Observe me, please. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Minister, can you please inform this August Assembly the procurement process that led to the award of contract to the 5 media houses to broadcast government programs?
Honorable Speaker, it will be recalled that the National Assembly, that is this August body, passed a law, the Access to Information Act 2021, that was later assented by the President on 25th August 2021. The landmark legal instrument provides a solid grounding to access information held by government and any other institution that is in receipt of public funds to render goods and services. The ATI legislation promotes proactive sharing of information held by the government with the public to provide such information is not prejudicial to national security and related matters. Pursuant to the realization of universal access to information, this ministry, with the support from Freedom House, hired the service of a consultant to develop a strategic plan spanning 2024-2028. The strategic plan was completed and submitted to the Ministry for implementation in 2024. The plan is anchored on 6 strategic pillars: 2 of the 6 strategic pillars that have direct relevance to the media services contract are as follows. 1, access to information. 2, public consultation and popularization of the government agenda. During the year 2023, the ministry, with the support from the National Democratic Institute, NDI, developed the Access to Information Implementation Framework and the National Communications Framework. Both administrative instruments seek to promote proactive access to information on government development projects, programs, and other initiatives to review the empowering ordinary citizens with the requisite competencies. The ministry is determined to reinforce democratic consolidation through systematic entrenchment of the hallmarks of accountability, transparency, inclusivity, and open governance. Building on the new imperatives imposed by the existence of these landmark administrative instruments, the ministry and other stakeholders recognize imminent gaps in the Gambia government's communications landscape that plays into the hands of opportunistic disinformation campaigners motivated often by political activism in the guise of online media practice. In essence, the combined imperatives imposed by the existence and potencies of the ATI Act 2021, ATI Implementation Framework, National Communications Framework, and the Medium-Term Strategic Plan 2024 to 2028, the government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Information, recognizes the need for a galvanized communications action plan to rein in disinformation and its distortionary impacts and take control of the narratives through proactive information sharing. It is against this backdrop that the media services contract came into effect to address legitimate challenges that repeatedly reduce the government to a defensive position, a situation often induced by inadvertent communication gaps. To put its acts together, the government, to the ministry, recognized the need for a scientific approach to its communications apparatus, realizable hills of the effectiveness of the media contract.
Who is rising to the Janjambure?
Janjambure, yes, sir. Yes, Speaker. I just want us to be reminded about time, and as such, Section 43.3 says, the time taken to ask supplementary questions shall be no longer than 1 minute, and answers to a supplementary question shall not be longer than 2 minutes. And it took the minister nearly 4 minutes to respond to questions. Thank you.
Honorable member, that does not apply. This is not a supplementary question. It does not apply here. This is a question posed by the principal question posed by the honorable member. You can take one hour to answer it. Supplementary questions are questions that follow, that are limited. Honorable Minister, can you continue?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To put its acts together, the government, through the Ministry of Information, recognizes the need for a scientific approach to its communications apparatus, realizable on the heels of the effectiveness of the media services contract. The media service contract thus seeks to promote access to information held by public entities, particularly those that relate to development activities, projects, and programmatic interventions with focus on collective growth. B, bring the government closer to the citizenry through proactive information sharing on all matters of public interest and create a conducive environment for the enhancement of public consultation culture. C, consolidate democratic gains through citizen empowerment with knowledge and skill sets to hold government accountable for the results of its service delivery process. D, to promote public trust in the democratic dispensation through proactive dissemination of information and reduction of the cyberspace for spinning and misrepresentations of facts, spewing disinformation and misinformation campaigns. And E, reinforce the culture of responsibility, accountability, and ownership of results, outcomes, and impacts through systematic public consultation, panel discussions, documentaries, infographics, and voice-over messaging. The media service contract was signed with 5 broadcast media houses and 2 content developers as follows: the Fatu Network, Star TV and Radio, QTV and Radio, Paradise TV and Radio, called Mediamatic, iAfrica TV, Fandema Multimedia as content developer, and Sparkling Multimedia as content developer. The content developers were drafted in to produce series of documentaries, infographic videos, drama, and social media contents on a scale that will provide a quick snapshot on the state of government development strides. It is further envisaged that the outputs of the content development process will induce thought-provoking expert panel discussions and phone-in programs to satisfy the information needs of the citizenry. The current government dispensation was elected based on the strength of its manifesto that was successfully sold to the Gambian voters. It therefore behoves on the government that was successfully sold to Gambian voters. It therefore behoves on the government of the day to align its development goals with the deliverable components of its manifesto. This requires the development of a clearly articulated agenda that must be popularized to elicit common understanding, interest, and positive curiosity in the delivery of public goods and services. Thus, popularization of the government agenda through proactive disclosure of information held by public bodies is likely to consolidate democratic governance through transparency and accountability and greater public trust in the service delivery of the government. This is how the bid was done, the content of the bid. The ministry applied for the restricted tender approval established under Section 441 of GPPA Act 2022. The GPPA approval for restricted tender was issued on 10th October 2023 through a letter reference GPPA/MO information/TR3/23. The approval effectively granted the ministry to float a restricted tender, and in response, technical and financial proposals were submitted by participating bidders. The Contracts Committee of the Ministry presided over the bid evaluation process that eventually paved the way for the submission of a comprehensive bid evaluation report to the GPPA. On the strength of the bid evaluation report, the GPPA granted final approval of the bidding process conveyed to the Ministry through a letter reference GPPA/MO information/TR3/23 dated 1st December 2023. Furthermore, the Ministry, upon receipt of the final GPPA approval, drafted 7 different contracts, 5 broadcast entities and 2 content developers, and submitted the contracts to the Attorney General's chambers for legal opinion and possible redrafting. The AG chambers reverted with redrafted contracts that reflected the final versions. The Ministry solicited approval and received cash allocation equivalent 50% of the contract value from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs to defray contractual obligations upon the signing of the contracts. Publication of adverts. There was no advert or publication as the procurement mechanism used was a restricted tender method, acceptable under Section 441 of the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Act 2022. Criteria used for the selection of the media houses and the content developers. This pilot phase of the media services contract was restricted to audio-visual broadcasting entities that can host or air development-oriented documentaries, infographic videos, dramas, expert panel discussions, human interest, public interest stories, live coverage of state events. Like any rational human being, the standards used for the selection of the media entities for participation in this pilot phase were informed by the judgment and perception of the government regarding 1, competency, 2, viewership audience, 3, professional independence, capacity to air audiovisuals, and existence of baseline trust and confidence. The media service contract is not and should not be construed or mistaken for a propaganda instrument for scoring political gains. Instead, it is a conduit to support the free flow of information on government policy, regulatory and legal instruments beside the popularization of development activities, projects, and programmatic interventions with a view to empower the society with requisite knowledge and critical mindsets to reinforce democratic accountability through constructive criticism. Proactive information sharing with the public through access to information and public consultation and popularization of the government agenda has just begun with the effectiveness of this media services contract. In the absence of proactive information sharing, the government will lose the space to professional disinformation campaigners or political activists operating under the obscurity of online media practice. As a responsible and responsive government administration, we remain committed to the cause of providing the public with unfettered access to information on all aspects of the government as espoused under the ATI Act 2021. We are ready to tackle the attendant challenges of the paradigm shift in information value chain, particularly on social media platforms, through proactive public consultation and popularization of government agenda with a view to effectively and efficiently take charge of the narratives. Finally, My ministry is determined to provide the necessary conditions for the vibrancy of our democracy, to anchor the hallmarks of good governance as we leapfrog towards the consolidation of our democratic gains. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that information. Normally, this bid should have been open bid, but notwithstanding the fact, when you consider restricted, this restricted tender was sent to how many bidders? How many bidders were invited under this restricted tender?
Will use your microphone.
Honorable Speaker, those that I have named already.
Then it's single source now. It's not restricted. You have single source to each one of them. Restricted is still you invited a lot of companies to come, but you probably sent to them, email them, invite them for the bid. But this you gave it to only 7, and 7 were awarded. So it's a single source. It's not restricted.
Honorable Speaker, it's a matter of technical definition, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
I didn't raise up my tag, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable members, the table office is insisting that they only write names when your tag is up. And if now members are saying my tag was not up, it's down, and all these things, it will create more confusion. Yes, Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
My tag was only up for the previous question, not this one. Maybe they might have made a mistake. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Janjanbureh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, can you inform or share with this August Assembly if there was any, in the process of the procurement, if there was any done? Can you share how the process was done with us for clarity purposes?
Honorable Speaker, I think I've just shared that process in a very comprehensive manner. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang.
Honorable Minister, based on your answer, you said you want to promote public trust. But this 41 million was not endorsed by the National Assembly for them to be given to the media houses. How do you want to gain that public trust?
Honorable Speaker, as far as my understanding is concerned, I see no correlation between public trust and National Assembly endorsement. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Kiang West.
Honorable Minister, for the purpose of transparency and accountability, we are the representatives and we need to know the source of funding of this project because it has not been approved by the National Assembly. Can you be transparent enough to talk to the Gambians, please?
Honorable Speaker, yes, we are always willing to be transparent. The hallmarks of the government of His Excellency the President is transparency and accountability. So we will always be transparent in our dealings, particularly when it regards to public funds. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Banjul Central.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, since you've made mention that the tender was restricted, and we've seen a lot of other media houses or entities that have the same muscle and credibility and standards as of those that you've put in part of this restricted tender. May I ask what is so special about these particular entities to be given these funds?
Honorable Speaker, I think I've just set the criteria, one of which is the most of the capacity to do audiovisual. For example, I can give an example. You can have a particular newspaper which has a wide coverage but doesn't do audiovisual. Not all media houses do audiovisual. Not all media houses have a TV and a radio at the same time. And this was one of the criteria. Name me the media with both TV and a radio at the same time. One of the criteria was that. They are not that much. Thank you.
Let me, on your behalf, thank the Honourable Minister for information, for ably responding to your questions. And honourable members, thank you for your very inquiring questions. Honourable Minister, thank you very much. Clerk, may we proceed?
Questions for oral answers. Honourable Minister for Public Service, Administrative Reforms, Policy Coordination and Delivery.
May I now invite the Honourable Minister for Public Service, Administration Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery to take the podium. Honourable members, questions for which due notices were given to the Honourable Minister for Public Service, Administrative Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery by honourable members for oral reply. Question number 184 of 2024 by the honourable member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, could the Honourable Minister for Public Service, Administrative Reforms, Policy Coordination and Delivery explain to this August Assembly what plans does the Ministry have to review the salary scale of both civil and public servants to match with the demands of time?
Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Public Service, Administrative Reforms, Policy Coordination and Delivery, as part of the Civil Service Reform Program 2018 to 2027, has reviewed the current integrated pay scale of the government and has produced a new pay scale options for consideration by Cabinet. One of the options was considered and approved by the Cabinet in November 2021 for possible implementation with effect from July 2022. However, due to the huge cost implication of the new pay scale and the realization of a tight fiscal space, the implementation was suspended until the revenue situation of government improves. As we also await the possibility of implementing the approved pay scale, further work is being done to streamline the civil service through the functional reviews we have initiated recently, and in some institutions as part of the Public Administration and Modernization Project, which will eventually be rolled out to cover all ministries, departments, and agencies.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Could the Honourable Minister explain to this Assembly how was the review done? Was it done in the form of a commission to assess the food basket of every household? Because we understand, I'll start with that one. Was it done in the form of a commission to assess the food basket of every household to determine how much is adequate to pay someone to take care of his family?
It was a very comprehensive study, and it took into account a lot of, data, of course, including household data, so that at the end of the day, the scales that would be used to pay the public servants would give them enough to be able to make their, ends meet. It was a very comprehensive study, and the scales that they came up with, together with the amounts attached to each of the grades, took into account those type of information.
That means would the new pay scale take care of some of the challenges that the both public and civil servants are facing? Because we understand,
If it was implemented as proposed, it would have taken care of all that. But as I said, due to the budgetary constraints, it could not be implemented as recommended. And I guess that was why instead the 30% was actually provided.
Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, based on your answer, you said you wanted to effect it in this July. In July, last or year before last. When will the revenue of government improve? According to you, you say when it improves, you will go by that. When will it improve?
Well, Honorable Member, I think that would be for the Ministry of Finance to actually determine when it would be, because they fix the, budget ceilings when it comes to PEs and, other charges. But we are hoping that as the revenue situation improves, which we have started seeing, we'll be in a position to do that.
Honorable Member for Sandu.
I withdraw the same question I want to ask.
Honorable Member for Banjul Central.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, so hence there would be a structural based setup because a lot of people have been inquiring in regards to the recent 30% increment, whereby it was across the board. Like, for example, if I was receiving 100, someone was receiving 5, and then we are given 30%, mine will be more augmented than theirs. So this time around, is it going to be a sort of a structural setup whereby based on the grading per se, augmentation will be based on the grading with regards to percentage?
Actually, the work that was done took into account those type of scenarios to avoid a situation where somebody from a lower grade would be earning more than somebody who is on a, especially those who are at the tail end of a lower grade compared to those who would be at the, beginning of a higher grade. They took all that into account and did it in such a way that, you would end up with a situation where nobody who was in a lower grade would be earning more than the person who was in a, in a higher grade. All that was taken into account. If it was, as I said, implemented as proposed, it would have, taken into account the, that kind of situation to avoid that potential problem. And secondly, the means for people to be able to take care of, the cost of surviving or cost of living would have been also addressed.
Honorable Member for Kiang West.
Honorable Speaker, I will withdraw.
Question number 185 of 2024 by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang.
Honorable Speaker, the questions are related, so I humbly withdraw.
Honorable members, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, thank you for ably responding to Honorable Members' question. We thank you very much. We release you. One? Honorable members, I am made to understand that the Honorable Minister for Trade is not in he is out of the jurisdiction. We will reschedule him to another date. Honorable Clerk, take note, and may we proceed to the next one.
Questions for oral answer. Honorable Minister for Youth and Sport.
Thank you very much. May I now invite the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports to take the podium. Honorable members, question for which due notice was given to the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports by the Honorable Member for oral reply. Question number 211 of 2024 by the Honorable Member for Ileasa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Farafenye Mini Stadium was built in the 2005, and the stadium will lack many things to be a standard field. Could the Honorable Minister for Youth Sports inform the August Assembly whether his ministry have any plan to upgrade Farafenye Mini Stadium? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, well, good afternoon to Honorable Speaker and members. Honorable Speaker, to answer the question, Honorable Speaker, I have informed this August Assembly in one of my appearances that the ministry do have plans to provide sport infrastructure across the country. However, due to the limited budgetary allocation that continues to hinder the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we have challenges of executing the plans as we want them. Currently, the ministry's intention is to focus on the projects that we have already started. Primarily is the renovation of the Independence Stadium in Bakau and the completion of the Mboyo Field Mini Stadium in Bakote, as well as the Fulabantang football field in Sierra South. Other areas, including Farafenye, will be considered upon the availability of funds.
Thank you. No supplementary question.
No supplementary. Honorable Member for Janjanbureh.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, in your response, you did mention about Fulabantang Mini Stadium. When is your ministry going to restart work at Fulabantang Mini Stadium?
Well, Speaker, we would be starting work or restart work very soon. Last month in June, we had the funding to be able to do that, or some funds, and this time around, based on the past experience, decided to invite the GAMWORKS to do an assessment of the Fulabantang football field and be able to give us a BOQ of what it will cost. So once we are able to receive the BOQ and the costing from GAMWORKS, we would be able to get the required approval from GPPA, and we will grant the contract to GAMWORKS to go and complete the work for Fulabantang.
Honorable Member for Serekunda West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, where are we as far as Mboyo field in Bakote is concerned?
Honorable, we are currently at a standstill. Unfortunately, like I said, we've been having a lot of bad experiences with Gambian contractors, unfortunately. And Mboyo field also happened to be in the same category. So last month on the 16th, we decided to terminate the contract with the contractor. And we have already written to GPPA to inform them of the termination because the contract was supposed to end in January. However, he kept requesting for an extension, and we went to a level that we couldn't extend it. And upon termination, GPPA has given us the go-ahead to open a new tender to do a reassessment of what is left of the work so that we can be able to continue it. So as long as that administrative and procurement process is completed, the work will kickstart, and we hope that we'll be able to finish it within a short period. But the good news also is that we've got the funding to start the phase 2 alongside what was left from phase 1, which is going to be for the volleyball, basketball, and handball court.
Honorable Member for Kiang West.
Honorable Minister, your ministry encountered bad experiences with contractors well before the award of Mboyo Field regarding all other mini stadiums we have across the country, until terminated some contracts and went into court issue with some of them. Could you inform this August Assembly if your ministry is awarding these mini stadium contracts to competent and qualified contractors in case we can assess to see what leads to the failure of these contracts?
Speaker, well, as far as I know, as a minister, all I would say is that the contracts are awarded to contractors that are competent within the scope which is stipulated by the procurement regulation. There is always a BOQ that is prepared by the Ministry of Works to say, if you want to do this kind of job, this is what it will cost you, and this is the scope as well as the costing. And that is confidential. When you tender it, you open it up, and contractors are expected to bid based on what they assess themselves that this is how much it will cost to do the job. And if their bidding is in line with what the Ministry of Works have given you as a costing, the contract committee, which I am not part of, looks at different variables. They look at first the technical submission, and if the technical submission is the same, then they look at the financial. And then at the financial, they look at which one is more responsive, as they call it in code. And the contract committee makes decisions based on those issues, the technical submission and the financial submission. And any company that they take, everybody's understanding will be that the company has met all the requirements, and that's why they're giving. However, in Mboyo Field, there were issues because the contract committee chose a particular company based on what they think is right. And then when they send that to GPPA, GPPA turned it down and asked them to reevaluate. And then they had to reevaluate and then give it to the company that they think was cheaper in terms of costing and not the current company that they recommended. So that was one of the issues because somehow the technical committee did advise that that company, if you give it to them, they cannot be able to complete it because their costing was a little bit below what the Ministry of Works themselves said it will cost. And these are the procurement regulations that we are all subjected to, and sometimes when failures like this happen, yes, it's the ministry that takes the responsibility, but there is something wrong with our procurement process, and I think it's important we look at it. But to say the ministry follows the procedure and give it to the one that fits the specifications.
Honorable Member for Lower Fuladu.
Thank you very much. I was just following up the issue of Fulabantang. We understand, and I want the ministry to understand the frustration we have not heard anything regarding the contractor, because the way and manner he operated at that venue was so disappointing. And if you are telling us again you have sent other people there and you cannot establish the time of commencing it, still now we are putting, when is the job in Fulabanta Mini Stadium going to start?
Honorable, yes, Honorable Speaker. The work, I would not be able to say will start this week or next month. But like I said, it was just last month in June that we restarted the process. But there is a methodology in doing it. First is we invite GPPA, GAMWorks, because we did not want to go into these problems. Now we want to give it to a more professional civil works contractor to do the job. And that is GAMWorks. So GAMWorks would do the assessment and give us an estimate. And once we get GPPA approval, we will do. Now, the administrative processes can take a month, can take more than a month. It depends on how soon we get responses from GAMWorks and how soon we will get a response if we send it to GPPA. That's why I'm not able to give you a definitive time. But be assured that work is in progress, and the legal process is at the AG chambers, because all the cases relating to the previous contractor has been submitted to the AG chambers, and they will do the right thing. But in terms of getting the work started, you will very soon be consulted in regards to the specific times.
Let me, on your behalf, thank the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports for ably responding to your questions. Honorable Minister, thank you very much, and we release you. On that note, honorable members, yes, somebody was talking. Honorable, who is Lower Salum? Your microphone.
I'm just murmuring, don't worry.
Honorable Member for Lower Salum, do you Honorable Member for Lower Salum, I remember you wanted to move a motion. Can you please do your little research and send a copy of the motion so that we will include it in the agenda, in the other paper? Would that be comfortable with you? Honorable Member for Lower Salum, I'm talking to.
Okay, no problem. But before going further, you want to make a ruling. The ruling, yes. In the morning, you said you will consult your legal office and table to make a ruling in the morning on the issue of the motions on time limit, 61.
But one. Yeah, Honorable Member for Lower Salum, you've reminded me about the determination of the issue at hand. That was the move to move a motion for time limit for the Assembly. Various sections were quoted by you and some other members. I have made consultations. I've got their feedbacks, but I still ask them to do further consultations so that at the end, we will have a determination that most likely interprets the intention of the standing orders. Yeah, probably tomorrow, following further consultations with others, they will be able to brief me, and then I will give you the necessary determination. Honorable members, let me thank all of you, those who partook in the debate and those who listened. I think the questions and supplementary questions were all in the interest of the people who you represent. Honorable members, on that note, I will now put the question: be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned until Thursday, 4th July 2024. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. This Assembly is now adjourned until Thursday, 4th July 2024 at 10 a.m. prompt.
Now,